Welcome to the next episode of the Divine Play podcast.
A practical guide to living with joy.
I'm Shannon Morrison.
Oh, and I'm Mirlena Lee.
And we are here with the beautiful Kyle. And I'm going to introduce you a little bit, Kyle, and then let you just really take the floor and let us get to know the heart of who you really are. So Kyle is a prolific creator. She's a thought leader, a guide to living a courageous, creative life, no matter what. A survivor of many multiple traumas, and that she's gained powerful tools for healing, for her personal transformation from victim to phoenix, and her passion is being a lighthouse for others. Kyle, thank you so much for being in this podcast episode.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be with you both. Thanks. Yay.
Yay. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, I know we have the bio, but who are you? What are you creating?
Let's get into the meat of it. I am always creating. I'm an artist. But let me start with the beginning. So when you mentioned multiple traumas, so I'm a person who has, in fact, survived a staggering number of traumas that sort of started in really early childhood and went on for decades of my life. And I kind of self-identified with all of it as a victim. I self-identified as broken, as, something was wrong with me. It was my fault. It created all manner of issues in me, including anxiety, depression. There were times when I was younger, I was suicidal. I started kind of creating friendships and romantic relationships that mirrored what I was accustomed to, and really just kind of wore this cloak of all of my pain on me in such a way that I used to say that my trauma would come in the room 5 minutes before my body, because it was just so much of it. It was very hard to hold and hard to be with, and hard to know who I was inside of it. And I currently am grinning ear to ear because I'm in such a place in my life where I have been able to take agency over it and to become a person that I feel is so passionately driven to model for other people the possibility of living a full life, of living a courageous life, of living creatively and being self-expressed and joyful, no matter what.
That is amazing and beautiful.
So Kyle, what does joy mean to you specifically? What does joy look like in your life? And what does your life look like without it?
Oh.
And how does it look now that you found the key for you? Because I think the key to joy is really individual. And what was that key? I know that was a lot of questions. What was it like before without joy? What is the key to joy for you? And what does joy mean to you specifically?
I love that. Thank you for asking. So before, very easy for me to call back that. I was a very depressed person, very dark. I did not see life as joyful. I didn't understand what that was like. I didn't understand what that meant. And quite frankly, back when I was in my 20s, 30s, when things were really, really acute, I would look at joyful people and think, either I would roll my eyes and be angry internally, or I would think they're lying. There's just no way you're that happy. Or the more accurate thought I had was that something was wrong with me and I was broken and I didn't deserve joy. I didn't get to have joy. And for a very long time, I adopted that idea. I lived into, I am a victim. Bad things happen to me. I have no choice in the matter. And how could I possibly be joyful? Have you seen the list of things? And so that's really my experience of the absence of joy. And I think the biggest keys, we could take up the whole time talking about those, but the biggest keys for me have to do with kind of getting an awakening over the course of my healing work in the last decade, where I understood that I actually have the power to create my own story. I actually have agency in choosing how I frame what happened. I actually can decide what I make it mean, and I get to write the rest of it. It's not, I'm not my past. I'm not what happened to me. And when I really get that, and I can really lean into that and live into that, joy is a natural byproduct of that. And so another piece I would say is that for me, joy is acceptance. And it doesn't mean like, I think about that word and sometimes I wonder if people think that means surrender, like, oh, it's just what it is. I'm going to be happy no matter what, all the bad stuff, that's not what I mean. I think it means fully accepting what is, what has happened, and also acceptance of my own divine birthright, that I am worthy and I am worthwhile. I deserve love. I deserve a full, beautiful, joyful life. And I spent most of it looking outside of myself for someone to give it to me. And what I'm really clear about now is it is right here. I am the creator. I get to make it. And the more I take that responsibility and choose that role for myself, the more joyful I am, no matter what's happening.
That is like listening to myself talk, as a victim consciousness, like educator. This is down to the crux of it for me. It was so similar for me. I felt at the mercy of like everything outside of me, and all of my suffering was the fault of everything outside of me. And it was when I decided that it was an inside job, that was when everything changed for me. And I love that you talk about this idea of like acceptance, because I teach radical acceptance. And a lot of people really struggle with this concept of acceptance as a pathway to joy, because they think, no, I have to be unhappy with how things are if I ever want to change them. And I had, a mentor in my early sobriety who really helped me to understand that like radical acceptance for what is actually gives me permission and empowerment to then choose how I want to take my next steps. Because until I find that radical acceptance, I get stuck in this like fighting reality, which when we're fighting reality and wishing for it to be another way, it's just a recipe for suffering. It's just a recipe for suffering. Shannon, I'm so curious, what you have to add to this piece of the conversation, because I feel like we all come from some really similar life experiences and backgrounds. And I'm curious to see what this pings for you.
Well, it resonates with me a lot. And we've had this conversation before, right, Kyle, it comes to the bracelet I have on, and it's nevertheless, she persisted. And I think it's about responsibility. Like, who's responsible for the feelings that I'm feeling, and who's responsible for creating the way of being or my life? And I too was in victim consciousness. I played this victim role very well. I could have got an A+ in creating a victim life. Everything is out to get me, and I'm not worthy, and I'm broken was like my story for so long, until the last decade as well. And so I think it is. I think surrender comes up for me, but I think the picture is I'm responsible. So if I'm responsible, it's not outside of me, it's inside of me. And it's internal work. It's the inner self-talk. It's the inner self-care. It's the individuality of what joy is. Like, not like you said, Mirlena, like everybody's joy or way of being in joy is unique to them, because we're all unique. And so what does joy look like? What is joy for you, Kyle? Coming back to that last question.
Joy for me is, I love it. You ask me these questions and the answer is just so clear. It's joy for me is just loving this girl right here. It's loving this girl and loving the child inside of this woman. I have been doing a tremendous amount of inner child work. And I will tell you, this time a year ago, when someone would say that phrase to me, I'd be like, oh, just inner child. Wow. I don't know why, it just made me cringe. Because I did a very specific job of distancing myself from my little child. My first name's Melissa. I was raised as Melissa in Georgia, and I abandoned that little kid who all this bad stuff happened to, because somehow I thought if I disconnected from her and got to the other end of the other side of the country and went by my middle name, somehow that would change me into someone who all this bad stuff can happen to. It's not true. More bad stuff, because I kept creating the same thing over and over, because we do that, right? It's familiar. So for me, joy in my life right now is coming mostly from this spring of love that I understand I have access to and that I can give to her. And a lot of the work I've been doing in the last year is going back and reconnecting with Melissa and merging myself back with that child. And as I do so, giving her literally everything that I didn't get, giving her the understanding, giving her the forgiveness, giving her the compassion, giving her a sense of safety in the world, and playing with her. You know, and I had a beautiful experience last December with a shaman in a medicine journey where she and I spent about 9 hours in this beautiful just dance of reconnection and play. And I continue to carry that into every day. There's at least once a day where I've got a little check-in with her. And that's such a source of joy for me because I never realized I could do that. I just that's a broken kid. She's back there. I'm here. I'm a mess. I don't know how I'm going to go forward. But it's, you know, if you just let go of the principle of time and you just embrace the fact that it's never too late. You know, there's no end, there's no beginning. There's only the present moment. And in the present moment, I can find joy and I can find it with her. Does that make sense?
What comes up for me just briefly here, and you guys, hype up if this resonates. Our body keeps a score. And I really feel like there's so much of my childhood that I don't remember. There's obviously a reason, right? Self-preservation or self-protection is like a huge deal. And, but I feel like okay, in my experience, I'm like, shove it down, go on, shove it down, create more, shove it down, do more. And I think that there's a certain in our healing journey, or in my experience, I got to survive for such a long time that I just shoved everything down. And I think when I least expected it, it comes back up. And so even if we shove it down and move forward, pull our bootstraps on, pull our big girl pants on and move forward, we're not truly healing anything. We're just sabotaging ourselves for later. And so I love that you said, I have spent so much time, intentional time, on loving her, giving her compassion, being with her and playing with her, like giving what comes up for me, the word that you said, security and safety. And I think that resonates with so many people in our audience, and they're going to resonate with that and they're going to feel into that. And they're going to be like, yeah, me freaking too. I didn't feel safe. I never felt security. I didn't have boundaries. I didn't know what the hell's going to happen. Right. And so we get to lean in on that little girl, that little boy, that human that was little, and we get to heal and talk to them and give them what they didn't get. So as adults, we are healed, we are sharing, we are compassionate, we are living in freedom. Because I feel like if we can really live in joy, it's freeing for us. It's freeing for that inner child. It's freeing for us to create the painting that we want to create.
Amen, sister. It's so true. And as you say that, I was thinking, I imagine that not everyone would, as I didn't, maybe a year or more ago, really understand what it means to reconnect with the inner child and to play with the inner child. And there's lots of different ways to do that. For me, one of the most powerful ones, as I mentioned, I was in this shamanic journey and I just chose to connect with her, and that was beautiful. But in terms of my day-to-day interactions with that little child, the ways that I create that are typically in a meditation space where I will sit for a few moments and close my eyes and just imagine her in full color in front of me and have interactions with her that way. And I keep her alive in my mind in that way. Sometimes, because I'm an artist, sometimes I'll draw us together. I'll do little scenes or whatever. It doesn't really matter. You have to kind of find what works for you. But yeah, I think it's such a powerful thing. And giving that child, like you just said, the things that were not there. And I never realized that it was actually that simple, because it sounds so complex and so complicated, but it really can just be as simple as imagine yourself with that little girl on a beach and you're holding her and you're hugging her and you're saying, you are safe. I've got you. I'm not going to leave you. You're going to be okay. I'm here. I'm the future you. I'm telling you, you're going to be okay. And that sometimes is such a profound moment and such a simple yet incredibly impactful thing to do.
Yeah, inner child work was a really huge part of my journey, and it continues to be a really huge part of my journey. And I love the way that you're connecting to your inner child through art. I think that's such a beautiful way to do that, because it taps into that creative energy. And I think as children, we're so steeped in our imagination and we're so creative that that's a really lovely way to go back. For me, it has definitely been, you know, I work in shamanic healing. It's a big part of the work that I do. And, you know, what we do is we heal, and we are able to step outside the bounds of time to reach back and send things, or to pull forward ourselves in the past, right, as a stronger, more healed version of ourselves. But one of the things that was given to me to do, and I'm just going to offer this up to everyone listening, is to find a picture of yourself as a child, a young child, before your imagination left you, before you were squashed, you know, the bigness that you had. And so on my like altar space in my house, for those of you who are listening who can't see this, it's a picture of me at like 3 years old in a cat costume that my mom made for me. And it's literally, you know, it's from 1983, because I was born that long ago. And I'm so freaking adorable. Like, I'm so freaking adorable. And it's like, and I can just like see so much of like the infinite potential that was within me. And it's been this really long journey for me, because my inner child, like, you know, she wanted all these things. She wanted somebody to listen to her. She wanted somebody to pay attention to her. She wanted somebody to know that she was hurting. She wanted somebody to stop that from happening. And it didn't happen. And that's a whole nother podcast for a whole nother day, because I could spend 3 hours on that. And one of the biggest struggles I had with inner child work was that until even just a couple years ago, when I would have, you know, my mentors, the people who were apprenticing me, you know, the shamans I was working with, come to me and be like, well, can you give it to yourself? My knee-jerk reaction was always, I would burst into tears like a 3-year-old. And I would just be like stomping my feet and like hitting the floor. And I would just so frustrated. I was like, I don't want to do it for myself. I don't want to do it for myself. I want somebody else to do it for me. That's the problem, is they didn't do it for me. They didn't protect me. They didn't stop me from being hurt. They didn't hear my cries for help. They didn't notice the ways I was acting out, and they didn't pay attention. They didn't give me what I needed. I don't want to give it to myself. I just want somebody else to do it for me. And my teacher asked me, I remember the last time I had this experience and we ended up healing it, and it's not like that anymore. But she was like, do you just like suffering? And I was like, no, yes, no, yes, you know, and it was like, and I ended up having this really big healing experience where I sat with my inner child and we ended up healing this. But that seems to be the biggest struggle for a lot of people. And I'm curious if either one of you has come up against this block to like loving yourself, giving yourself the time for rest, giving yourself boundaries, giving yourself the ability to say no. Did you run up against this barrier of like, well, I don't want to do it for myself? That's exactly the point. I'm curious.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. You sounded like me talking. I spent most of my life angry because I wasn't getting it externally. So, you know, one of the things that sort of started all of this for me, my mother committed suicide when I was a child, and that abandonment, I was 8 years old, and that abandonment sort of set this tone for me looking for the rest of my life for someone out there to mother me. And my father left as well, the earth. He was a drug addict, alcoholic, ultimately took his life. Again, spent my life looking for the father. I was so angry because no one out there was giving me what I needed and wanted. And why couldn't I get that? For a long time, it didn't even occur to me that I could give it to myself. And then when someone suggested it, that's why I would be like, I don't want to do that. I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to give it to myself. I shouldn't have to figure that out on top of everything else. I should get it outside of me. Where is this person? Where are these people? Where is this community that's going to fill every hole in here? Because I didn't want to do it either. I really get it. And I've been doing the work even more acutely this past year of continuing to really understand that I am everything to me. I am everything I need is here. I'm the one I want. I'm the one I looked for my whole life. And that's the key. That's the magical superpower we have if we choose to accept it, is that we're never going to find it outside of ourselves. I looked for decades. Not there. It's not there. It's not there. No one's going to give you the permission. No one's going to give you the reassurance. I am my safety net. I am my coach. I am my mother. I am my father. I am my best friend. I have to be that. I love that.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good when you realize it. Because then the problem, if the problem is that no one else will give it to you, if I'm the problem, I'm also the solution. Like if I won't give it to myself, why the fuck would anybody else give it to me? It's like, I have to give it to myself first because I have to love myself more than anybody else will. Yeah.
It's so true.
Oh my goodness, this is magic. I agree. I like tenfold. I'm just like, amen. Absolutely. I think that one thing that came up for me and just this thinking is, I don't want anybody to think that you have to lone wolf life, that that no one else can be a support system. Because like up until a year ago, I was like, what? They're like, Shannon, do you ever ask for support? I was like, no one has ever support, you know what I mean? Like I felt like I was abandoned. Like I had this victim of abandonment. So like I got to do everything my own damn self kind of thing, or it didn't get done, or it wasn't right, or somebody was going to let me down, that kind of thing. And so I absolutely think that all of it is inside. It is an inside work. I absolutely totally agree with that 100%, that you get to look in the mirror and you get to be like, you're freaking amazing. You are beautiful. All of this is you and it is amazing. You get to love yourself the most first before you can ever reach outside of you. And it's not even like reaching out. I feel like it's your way of being, the light that you are, that draws humans in that are positive and that can be your support system.
Mm-hmm.
Like that whole I'm broken and I'm fucked up and I have all these negative things that I'm creating and this is my vice and this is my vice and another man and whatever it be, right? Not until I really decided to look into the mirror and being like, who in the hell are you creating right now, mama? Like, okay, before I ever started finding humans that were positive.
Mm.
So you went exactly where I was like, I saw you see me be like, oh, I have a thought. And it's the same thing, right? Like, so people outside me didn't give it to me when I didn't believe it. Why? Because we are vibrational beings. And when we resonate and I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable, I'm not good enough, what do? We attract people who like reflect it back to us. And because perception is projection, right? Like we see outside of us, the world's a mirror, it reflects back to us like what we believe inside. If we believe that we're like not worth loving ourselves, right? Then the people that are around, everything they do is going to look like a confirmation that we're unfucking lovable, which is a lie, which is not true. So like when it changes inside, when I was like, oh yeah, I'm lovable, I have so many people willing to support me all the fucking time and love me and care for me and validate me and give me all the stuff that I wanted. And what I've realized now, like extra layer of like, oh damn, is that there was a lot of that out there before, but because I didn't believe it inside, I didn't see it. I'm curious, Kyle, your take on that one.
Oh, I'm chomping at the bit here. Yeah. It's interesting. So one of the ways I had to call myself out, it's insane. So there were opportunities. Now, granted, there were people who let me down. There were people who weren't out there to support me, but there were people who could. There were people in my field, and I couldn't recognize them. I had gotten so good at, it's like when you buy a Toyota and then you go out and all you see are Toyotas, right? We see what we are. We see the world as we are, not as it is, right? And one of the things that I have to out myself for previously doing, and it's very difficult to acknowledge this and it's very difficult to hold it, but this is another key. We are so good at creating a life where we get constant validation for our suffering. Constant validation. I would go into relationships with someone who was a narcissist, who was a sociopath, who would absolutely abuse me and tear me down to the point where I thought my life had no value. I said yes to that. I thought that was love. And consciously or subconsciously, we are incredibly good at and guilty of recreating that for ourselves. It's self-fulfilling prophecy. It's what you're describing, but like literally I was like putting the architecture in, like, okay, let me marry this guy. Here's a sound way to be reminded every day of just how little I'm worth. Here's a great way every day to be reminded of just how much shame I should feel about my entire existence on this planet. And, I can say all that with a smile now. At the time, it was fucking painful. And getting that and taking that responsibility and getting like, oh shit, it's me. Oh, it's me. Like, I'm the one. I gotta solve this. There's just nothing outside of me that's going to change the choices that I'm making. And the way that I'm, like you said, vibration is everything. Mindset is everything. Being in that field of I am worthy. I am open to receive all of the love and abundance the universe has available to me in every way because I deserve it. That is a very different place from the world is a terrible, scary place. Bad things always happen to me. I'm terrified all the time. We're going to attract whichever of those places we live in. I lived in the terrified all the time place. That's why I talk about being courageous as fuck now, because the courage comes from having the guts and having the commitment to self to say, you know what? No, I want the good stuff. I want the good stuff. Bring me the good stuff. It's available. And I'm going to choose to see that no matter what's happened. Because, right. So bad shit's happened to all three of us. I've got a roster of awful shit I could talk about all day. So what? At the end of the day, I still get to decide what I'm going to see when I look out into the world. I'm going to see beauty and I'm going to see joy and I'm going to see possibility and I'm going to see love for this girl. And when I do, I get it. Like you, I'm getting it everywhere right now. Like it's that simple and yet that complicated, but we can all do it.
So I want to talk a little bit, and this just popped into my head. This is something that's been in my field. And Kyle, I want to hear you speak to this because I think you're going to have some mad wisdom to drop. And I've been over here just like almost laughing hysterically because I'm like, I swear to God, she's me. She is me. So I'm curious on your take on this, because this past year, as I've learned to love myself more, as I've gotten more clear on my values and like what works for me and what doesn't, I've actually had a lot of relationships, friendships specifically. People that I've been in friendship with for some of them over 20 years, and they've been struggling friendships for a really long time. And I finally made the decision to stop chasing them and to release them with love, because what I've learned is that as our vibration shifts, we stop resonating with people that we maybe had like really incredibly loving relationships with. And I'm curious if that's happened to you on your journey. And as you've let go, if this is something that resonates with you, and I have a feeling it is, as you let go of those things that don't really like, they're not aligned with you, those relationships, friendships, maybe even family members, how has that opened up the space for more joy for you in your life? And what has that changed?
That's a great question. And it's so specific to me. I'm sure as it is to everyone in their own way. I have a belief that, well, I know that I spent, we talked about this when we first met. I spent a large part of my life holding on like this because I was so afraid, holding on to work, holding on to friendships, holding on to, whatever it was that I had, every dollar in the bank, whatever job I had. Mostly relationships, though. I was the person in the relationship who was doing all the calling, all the texting, all the work, all the holding. Please, 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 please want me. Please love me. Please love me. Am I exciting enough? Am I cute enough? Do you like, I felt like I was fucking performing all the time. And I have, throughout my sort of deeper healing in the last 2 or 3 years, I've really just, as I've shared before, just opened into this posture like this. And I haven't closed any relationships. I've just let go. And so what I've noticed has been a natural, what do you call that? A natural result of just that letting go, of just surrendering and letting go and not trying, is that there have been quite a few that have fallen away. I think that there's different reasons for that. When we're going through growth and transformation, we are changing, and we're supposed to, by the way, we're all supposed to change all the time. God forbid I'm the same, in 50 years that I am now, if I live that long. But it's the idea that as people grow, it's natural that sometimes they grow apart. And in relationships where the dynamic is unbalanced, where it was in certain ones of mine, where I was kind of the one giving and giving and giving and just hoping for a little back, that relationship really wasn't a healthy balance, and it wasn't meant to be. And as soon as I let go of it, in some cases, that person is out of my field now. And it does open up space. In other spaces, wow, I'm surprised by a couple who've like started showing up, and they're here going, wow, I actually value you. And so that relationship's redefined itself. But there have been quite a few that I've just relaxed, and I've just stopped putting all the effort in, and I've realized I don't need to nurture 300 friendships at one time. I need to nurture here first. And then I need to allow the friendships that flow with where I am in my development and where they are in their development to just come more naturally. It has all of that energy that I was putting into holding on to everything so tightly, including friendships and family and all of it. It's created a lot of spaciousness. And the way I've filled that space, some of it's not filled, but the way I've filled the parts that I want to are, I'm just giving that attention to myself. I'm giving that attention to myself because I realized I was giving away a lot of my life force. And I remember a day when I got clear about it. I was like, why am I exhausting myself trying to, I use this analogy in my teaching, in my groups and stuff, when I'm talking about trusting and feeling safe in the universe and in relationship, I think, and even I use it with thoughts. So imagine there's trains just going by. You're at a train station, there's just trains going by. If I try to flag down every single train, get on it, check it out, have a seat, talk to the, I'm never going to catch the ones that are actually for me. I can't ever have what's naturally meant for me if I'm trying to be everybody's friend all the time. And I'm trying to make sure everybody wants to be with me and play with me and hire me and know me and whatever it is. So it creates a lot of, I can feel my shoulders relax as I say this. It just creates a lot of freedom and peace and a lot more stillness and calmness. And I think it's very natural. And I've had some sadness over a couple of relationships that have dissolved, but I also understand that it's okay. And I feel like the love that's meant for me, the connections that are meant for me, the relationships that are meant for me will be here as long as I honor myself first and don't try so hard. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I knew you were going to nail that one. I was like, this is going to be like a mic drop. It's going to be so good. I was just talking to a client, and then I'm going to bounce this to you, Shannon. I was just talking to a client of mine, and what came forward was that I love other people radically. And I know you wrote a book called Radical Self-Love, which looks amazing. But like when I love myself enough to have radical acceptance for who and what I am, when I truly love another human being, which these people that I've let go of in the past couple of years, they're people I've loved really deeply, right? And I held on for so long because I loved them so deeply. But I love the people in my life enough to remove the bondage of trying and hoping for and expecting and wishing for them to fit into the box I have for them that doesn't fit who they are. And if I really truly love like my friends who I'm no longer like really aligned with, I'm going to stop asking them to change who and what they are and be inauthentic to stay in my life. You know what I mean? So with that, I'm going to bounce it to you, Shannon, because I could talk with this beautiful human for days.
I think we're going to have to meet for coffee. So absolutely, like this resonates. Well, and Mirlena, that I just did this whole radical forgiveness protocol that I created, and it was profound. And I am a recovering people pleaser. I did absolutely everything, which I resonate with your conversation, Kyle, is everything I could do to like be all and everything. And then who was the person that was let down in the end because I wasn't even thinking about myself. And I resonate so much with that because I watched my kid do the same thing. And so I really led to my next layer of healing. I was invited like 2-3 weeks ago to do some extra work and hard work, not hard. It's really simple, but really leaning in on that whole thing you just brought up, Mirlena, is radical acceptance. I have said for years, you cannot make people be the people that you need them to be for you. People are who they are. They have the capacity of the programming that they were given and their own circumstance, their own journey, and it is their own way of being. We cannot expect somebody to be something for us because we get to look at ourselves, right? And so the other day, probably 2 weeks ago now, I wrote a list of 20 humans. I still have more humans, I'm sure, but I absolutely did the Hawaiian prayer in a way for myself. But I went into that relationship in my mind's eye. I thought about the connection, why we were connected. I thought about the breakdown because any negativity is a breakdown. And I sat in their seat with their programming, their life circumstance, their reaction to life. And I was like, I get it. And I forgave them. I sent them love. I disconnected any cords or connections that would hold them back or hold me back from healing and to fully accepting our own individualities. And so much bandwidth was created. And that's what I heard you say, Kyle, is like really the space that it allowed for you to let go of this constant, like, I have to be all end all, do everything for everybody else because my cup is fucking empty. Like, right. And so I filled my damn cup. Like so much stuff was lifted, so much air was opened up. I could breathe lighter, my shoulders relaxed. I just felt better. And so I really feel like we all can do forgiveness. We have a chance to forgive so many people in our lives, and the hardest one, honestly, is the human I see in the mirror. I have done so much work on looking myself in the face and being like, I forgive you for taking a decade to get divorced. I forgive you for all of these different perspectives that your children got to learn in their journey. However, I also know to my heart, to my mind, to my body, to everything that I am not the human. I would never be the human that you see right here or that you're listening right here if I did not have the damn journey that I had. Right. And just this last week, I was talking to my kids about something and I was like, what if I didn't lean into self-care? What if I didn't decide that I was meant for more? My kids, like my eldest daughter, she's 21, she's brilliant. And they both are brilliant. And she's like, I have no idea where I'd fucking be right now if you did not start that journey 10 years ago. She said, I have no idea where I would be if you never got divorced. I don't even know, like, what would be like? How would I act? Where would I live? Would I have gone to school? Oh my gosh. Like, she just sat there and was like, whoa. And so, like, it doesn't happen overnight. Like, it was 12 years ago when I decided to get divorced, when I drew that line in the sand, just like everybody here, right? There has to be a line in the sand that you're like, enough is fucking enough. And I'm tired of being a victim. It is time for fucking joy. Like, I am ready to be free. And that's what we're here to spread, I think. And that was a profound reality for me. And if you guys want more information about that way of forgiving those humans, it took me like 2.5 hours, super intentional. And then I journaled so long afterwards, right? I journaled so long, but to really lean in and be in that other seat of those humans and really forgiving all of the breakdown because I'm responsible for creating it, because your vibe attracts your tribe. What you're putting out curates your life. What you're putting out curates the relationship. And if there's a breakdown, it's a mirror image of your own breakdown. In my experience, that is how I feel. And it was powerful. And yeah, I feel like I lost about 50 pounds. I'm not going to lie. it was just another layer of that healing.
I love this so much because I always tell, because I teach forgiveness. It's like a huge part of the work I do. And I always tell people, you know, when you truly see the suffering on both sides of the coin, forgiveness becomes inevitable. Like it's just inevitable. When you allow yourself to see the suffering and have compassion, it doesn't make it easy. It took me 30 years to forgive my childhood abuser, you know, but when I did, I could just see the suffering on both sides. And I wept for him, you know, I wept because I was like, man, he had to go through some rough shit. You know, we're coming to the close. I feel like we could talk for another 4 hours. And if we don't watch the clock, we probably will, because this has been a fun one. Kyle.
Yes.
If you had to distill your one takeaway for the people who are listening, who are maybe in that place where they're in that deep, dark place, and they're just like, I'm a victim. Bad shit happens to me. My life fucking sucks. Like, this is all well and good, but my life fucking sucks. Like, what would you tell them? What is one thing that they can do to begin to shift? What is a tool you could give them to begin to shift their experience from that to where you're sitting today?
That's a great question. That's a really good question. Goodness, as you were saying it, I was kind of feeling into that place in myself where I was at that point, where I just looked around and I couldn't see in any direction that anything beautiful was happening to me, that only difficulty and challenges were occurring, and life was so hard. And I would cry about it and be like, why is it so hard? Why is it so hard? And I remember going to a healer at one point, and I said to her, I feel like I'm drowning. I feel like I'm drowning. I literally cannot. I just was crying, and I'm like, I feel like I'm underwater all the time. And she said, shh. She said, take a deep breath and stand up. It's shallow. You are more powerful than you know. You are stronger than you can ever imagine. And if you can just try every day to believe a little bit more that you deserve better than this, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, practice that a little bit more every day. It's very challenging to overcome victimhood. It's very challenging when life keeps throwing you shit left and right. I know this really, really well, not from just decades ago, but from even recently. I had a very traumatic injury 3 years ago that had me sitting in that seat and saying it. And the distinction I remember making was, as I sat there, I had been attacked by our dog and had part of my mouth torn off, and it was very triggering and all these things. And I was in a very dark place. And I knew that I had to make a choice to believe that there was something in this, there's something in this, there's something in this, there's something beyond this, and there's something in me that needs to be awakened and that needs to grow from it. And I remember saying to my husband, this was really dark. We had to put our dog down. It was just awful. And I said, I don't know what's in this for me, but I refuse to believe that this is just a terrible thing that's happened. There's something in this, and I'm going to stick around, and I'm going to cry, and then I'm going to do the work to believe that I deserve to know what it is and that I will be okay. And I was, and I did learn a lot from it, and I'm grateful for the experience. And I think when you're in it, it's really just about, you can't change in a moment. Some of us can have a satori, a moment of enlightenment, and we're fine. But most of us have to do the work a little bit at a time every day. And so I would say that, because it can feel daunting to have somebody on the other side going, hey, it's great over here. Just feel joyful. It's awesome. It's not that easy. It's not easy. Healing work is difficult. But a little bit at a time every day, just a little more belief every day. If you've got to get in the mirror and tell that girl looking at you, look, I love you. The world is not a bad place. You've had some bad things happen. It is not your fault, and you're going to be okay. And I love you, and you're strong, and you're courageous, and you got this, bitch, whatever you need to say. And just a little bit every day. And then that starts to accumulate, and goodness, I wish I had more, but that's what's worked for me. That's what I still do now.
That's plenty. That's plenty. And so, Kyle, where can people find you? Because I know that you are a public speaker, and you're a motivational speaker and inspirational speaker, obviously inspirational. Where can people find you if they're interested in working with you?
Thank you. Currently, the best places to find me are on my private Facebook group, which is called Courageous AF. and you can just come on in the door. I'll let you in. There's just a few little simple rules about respect. And that's a very safe container where I do share a lot. I have a lot of live videos. We have some interactions with people on there. And it's just, there's a community of about 540-ish people right now. And so that's sort of the beginning. And then from that, I will be very soon launching a website, and I'm looking forward to doing a podcast and more speaking. I'm speaking at a women's summit coming up. I would love to invite all of you to attend. It's free. It's coming up on August 7th and August 8th. And I think you'll probably put a link to that. But the other place to find me is through Kyle Creative, which is my art world. And that's on Facebook and also on Instagram. You can just look up Kyle Creative anywhere and I'll pop up.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh my gosh, this has been beautiful. And I say all the time, and I actually just posted something yesterday, that 1% shift every single day adds up over time. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated. It gets to be easy. It gets to be simple. But even if it's, I'm drinking more water today, I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and just, like you said, I love you.
Yeah.
Just something over time makes a massive difference. It does not have to be hard. But you get to do the inner work, and you can create your mess into your message, and create joy, and which will lean into freedom and peace, which I hear you say, Miss Kyle. So thank you so much. Whoa.
I have one more thing.
Else to say.
I just have one more thing. I feel
like,
so, go ahead. I feel so called to say this, that we get to choose the thoughts that we have. And that what you just expressed a moment ago is the thought that my life is really hard. Life sucks. Life is challenging. When I understood that I could stop saying that, and that if I stop saying that and I choose over here a thought that my life is wonderful, I am safe in the world, I am open to the abundance the universe has for me, I am worthy of love and safety and joy, and I start using those thoughts. So it's just switching one for the other, switching one for the other. I did not know that you could do that. I did not know that the brain doesn't understand the difference between a real memory and a fake one. And so the more I can be in an elevated state of mind and choose the more powerful thoughts that are going to bring me toward healing, the more healing occurs. And that's easy. Seems difficult, but just try it. Every time you hear one of those thoughts come up, this is really hard, life sucks, thank you, we're safe. How about instead, I'm healing, I'm getting better every day, I'm safe in the world.
I love it. Change your world, your words, you change your world. Absolutely.
Yeah. Abraham Hicks, this is one of my favorite quotes from Abraham Hicks. A belief is a thought you continue to think. Choose different thoughts.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Different thoughts. That is a great place to put a cap in this conversation, as much as I want to keep going for like 3 more hours.
Beautiful.
This has been such a pleasure. You are amazing. You are beautiful. You are powerful. Thank you so much for sharing with us today in this episode.
You're so welcome. What an honor. And so fun to be with you both. Really. Thanks.
Yes.
Yay.